Oh, hi everyone. How are you? Let me see. Where did my. Aha, there's my microphone. Okay. You know, I had to hide it from the boo. Which right now I have the boo staring at me because it is my bedtime. He has determined that I have certain bedtimes and they are very cat like. And if the truth be known, I have turned into a cat because my body has now went into healing mode whether we like it or not. So I think Friday at noon was the last time I participated in life. I think what I do. Friday I had no Thursday I had PT, Friday I had the dentist, came home and laid down, and then it was New Year's Eve. I had a few hours of waking, got up, got some fluids, tossed some fluids, went back to bed, and then I think so then I woke up yesterday, went out to breakfast and physical therapy, and then the pain was so bad after physical therapy. I am really far ahead of where I need to be in a lot of areas because um, I'm not as good about wearing my splint as I should. And I noticed right away that I was getting really contractured at the elbow. I couldn't straighten my elbow anymore. And I was like, no, I'm not going to add another freaking thing to have to do PT for another freaking $1,000 of copay. So um, I started working on that. So I'm not supposed to have been able to have straightened my arm up out that much, but I have. And then I've been typing a little more than I should have been, and so I've I've created a new problem, and my elbow is actually over flexing by 30 degrees. So got those problems, and then the basic problems, and I've been using my bicep too much, haven't been supposed to. So it got me back to where I was supposed to be, and really, she ranked on my shoulder as she should, and it really hurt. So I came to bed and I slept another 20 hours or so. I'm just in my tired mode. And this is, like I say, I don't take Ambien or anything for sleep. I haven't taken any narcotics for my shoulder or anything. I have my medications for chronic pain, which I'm on all the time and have been on for years, and I've not increased them. Um, so this is not drug induced. This is just absolute exhaustion. You know, that kind of exhaustion you get. And so I can't argue with it. My body does it. It's something to do with whatever is fibromyalgia. You know, with all the things I have wrong with me that are documented, someone threw the fibromyalgia diagnosis at the wall too, so that then they can have the right to roll their eyes when they see me coming, um, and ignore the actual things I really have going on. You know how that goes. So I think that it's gonna come out that fibromyalgia is from those of us who can't really metabolize inject immunizations. And I'm not trying to get any theories going or anything. I just think that there are some of us who have different things in our blood that we just don't do as well with. Um, and if we didn't have those, I'm not going to say the word again, um, then we wouldn't have survived at all. So I'm not saying that, but I just think that there's something in some of us that causes us to, get chronic fatigue and fibro and stuff like that. So, um, and I'm one of them, and I can't fight it. I can't fix it. It is just what it is, and I go into my periods of sleeping, and there's nothing we can do. It's been observed when I've been in the hospital for weeks at a time, and they've just had to check on me, do my vitals and everything while it's happening, and they called me Sleeping Beauty. And so it's like, okay, is Sleeping Beauty still awake down there? Are we still asleep down there? Is what they'd say, I guess. And I would be. It's just my body and what it does. And I want to be put in a mausoleum because I don't want to be in the ground, because somebody could very easily mistake me as not being alive. during these sleeping periods. So it contributes to why I don't answer my emails on a timely basis or do anything on a timely basis. And that's the thing. Like if somebody could very easily think that I'm missing, and I would not be. Um, I literally actually had a well person check happen to me once, from the sheriff's department because my husband was at sea, and I just I just sleep. I just sleep. But it's funny because there were the times, at the end of my 20s where I couldn't sleep. I had massive insomnia, and I took Ambien, and we'll just refer to some of the things that happened then as the Ambien years, because they're not they're not they're not great things that happen during those times. And all you have to do is read other people's stories of them and be like, yeah, that happens. It literally happens. Um, but anyway, I was thinking, and how I am outspoken, and not seeing any bona fide proof that she had any prenatal care prior to. Well, I guess I can't even say prior to, because the only prenatal care that we know of is from the autopsy, quite frankly, of where they measured the fetus. And so then I saw in there where there's the hearsay of Cassie, saying that NA was with CW. And I think we did see that CW said that there was an ultrasound. I don't remember at this time because I'm still basically half asleep. But we have basically a story that she went to the private ultrasound and got the gender. Could that be something that SW and NA conjured up to tell Chris that it was a boy? Because it would be the one thing that she could manipulate him on, and then, when it's born, be like, I guess that was that was her umbilical cord between her legs. Guess it wasn't a peen. And then she could quickly say, let's name her Nicole. I don't know. I mean, there's so many lies in this that I don't know. I mean, like I say, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to say I made a mistake. I'm wrong. And I'll do the damage control, on any videos that I have done and put in there. So I mean, okay, we got some things saying that maybe, but what are the chances it was a boy, and that's what was the only thing that would have held their marriage together, and the only thing that they were trying to plan? I don't know. Part of me doesn't buy it. I did see that you guys are writing me comments, and I started thumbs upping a few of them, and then I fat fingered it and logged myself out, and so I didn't get to everybody, but I did give a few thumbs up. I mean, that's a thumbs up in and of itself. So thanks so much for listening and helping me along. I know that all the news right now is about the Moscow 4 and about that beady-eyed freaking psychology major that looks like he is guilty. He had the suicide vest on, and I guess he'd tried to, unalive himself. So looks like he's the perpetrator. Sounds like it happened kind of like I thought, where he was upstairs. The target were one of the two girls, but the two girls could not be separated. And then when he went to leave, then Ethan and Xana opened their doors to say what because they heard something, and then they recognized him, and he had no way of escaping. So it doesn't sound like he went in for the 4, but definitely was the 4. So I'm not minimizing it. I'm just saying I think it makes sense the way that I thought it was going to make sense. But I guess, yeah, it was his vehicle. He drove that vehicle and got pulled over twice trying to floor it to Pennsylvania, getting the heck out of Dodge, because I guess he was still in the area. And I said in the beginning, because I know that area, that WSU and U of Idaho and all that, they all party together. They're all at the frat houses, and like I say, it just smells like farts, beer, barf, and death. Oh, sorry, too soon on the latter. But there's just and people and just stinks in those frat house parties. So um, I went to him a couple of times when I was really young, when I was a designated driver, because I already had a kid, and my friends wanted me to go over there on weekends when my baby daddy had our baby. So he turned into my husband later, but we had a little period of time where when I was 18 and he was 21, we really couldn't stand each other for about 6 months, and that is what it is. We were together for 13 years, and I've been remarried now for I can't remember if my anniversary is Sunday or Monday, so I've got to try and find if he has it marked on his calendar somewhere, because I can never remember if it's the 8th or the 9th. But we got married in 2002. So I was with my first husband, married for 9 years, together for 13, and then I've been with this particular husband for 2002, 21 years. And we were together for 7 months before we got married, so 22 years. And this one's a keeper. This one is solid. So I've been in a monogamous relationship for how many years out of my life, if you can consider the 13 plus the 22? Yeah, so since I was 15, I'm 50. So yeah, 35 years of my life. Not to the same person, but I'm a good girl, right? So I did a lot of observation at those parties, being sober, and nobody else was. I'd have to hold my friends as ponytails. I'd put their hair in a ponytail once they started barfing and just hold their heads one at a time in the toilet as they needed to barf. Or just pass out. All right, need the toilet bowl. Bleh, bleh. Get them barfing at the same time. There you go. Bleh, 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 bleh. Make sure nobody took advantage of them and got them home. So, I know that there's the parties of all of them together, and I know where those bars are, and I know. I think it's hilarious because I'm not going to mention the creators that were paid by their minions that believe that they know something that they don't, because these minions paid these minions to go and cause trouble for other crime victims and their families and their neighborhoods, and cause messes and not have the proper permits, etc. Um, and these people's minions paid for this and other creators to go to Moscow. They paid for their airfare, hotel, rental car, food, and make sure it's hot, and gloves, and a coat, because the one when she got there was too cold, and was complaining about being cold, in front of the house where 4 people were murdered. So those people that spent all that money, before Christmas and everything, I don't know what they were thinking, because she didn't come up with an ounce of wombat shit that was relevant. I mean, I don't think anybody really had this beady-eyed creep on their radar, but I'll tell you, that would not be the last thing I ever wanted to see. I mean, he is one creepy dude, and there's this picture on his ID of him, and he looks creepy in that picture. And I think that he probably was an incel, and probably was rejected, probably went, to these parties and whatnot. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor of criminology, and I'm going to be this. And they were like, yeah, well, I'd still not do you as my friend's dick. Oh, I am drinking my favorite drink of all. It's Bai, B-A-I, and it is Cocoa Fusion. It's Molokai coconut drink, and it is caffeinated, so don't think it's as much as coffee, but it does have a little bit of caffeine. So don't drink it first thing in the morning if you haven't had something to eat because it can kind of upset your stomach. But it's one of the best tasting coconut drinks you can get. I love it when it's the other flavors too that are mixed with pineapple, and there's coconut and mint, and oh, so good. They're about $1.50 a bottle, so not bad, not bad, but not great either. You know, definitely a treat. I'm like one a day, one a day. Um, so without further ado, I will get started here, and we are on part 22 of the Watts Discovery, and we're going to begin on the Discovery page 652, and on the actual pages 578 out of 1690 if you're following along that way. And of course, as always, thank you for following along. I appreciate it so much. I do, of course, have the request in, and I know it's on my to-do list to make a playlist out of this so it'll go together. I certainly will. It's just a little bit too much for what I can peck out with my fingers right now, and I fat-fingered it when I tried to do the playlist. So it's going to be there. I just can't quite do it yet. So let me see here if we're on the right page. If we've got it, let me see here. There we are. Oh, 578. Yeah, okay, so we're going to go down a little bit. Okay. So on 578, Discovery page 652, it is saying here that it is the pickup of a phone download from the Thornton PD. And it is Agent Kevin Kobach as the reporting LEO. And LEO means law enforcement officer, in case you guys didn't know. And it was approved on 9/6 of 2018, as we know. Ready? By Agent in Charge, Kirby Quinn Lewis. Okay, and what do we have here? Pickup of downloaded information from consent search of Nicole Kessinger's cellular telephone. Ooh, we could get some juicy stuff. And it's from Law Enforcement Officer number 1, Doug Parker. And it says law enforcement official, record type, and his email. And he is a detective, and he's not a juvenile. That's good. And then we have an XRY phone extraction data. So I don't know what XRY means in that, because it says XRY phone extraction data. So it must refer to their process. I don't think they put the phone through an X-ray, but who knows? Maybe they did. And it says it is in the property class of an evidence felony. Yeah, that's right. Property type, CD and DVD disc. And it's in the evidence locker. And then an evidence felony, CD and DVD disc, X-ray, evidence locker, blah, 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 blah. Same stuff. Narrative begins. Okay, synopsis is the X-ray of the phone extraction. Here we go. Okay, so action taken. Says, on August 22, 2018, I, Colorado Bureau of Investigation Agent Kevin Kobach, met the Thornton Police Detective Doug Parker at the Thornton Police Department to pick up downloaded information from Nicole Kessinger's cellular telephone, an iPhone 6. Detective Doug Parker provided the attached documents that shows the contents of the phone, both active and deleted material. Oh, they can get deleted material? Ooh, girl, I'd be in trouble. Ooh. Detective Parker also attempted to search the downloaded .xry files. Okay, so must be XRY files. Okay, for any material dated from August 11th, 2018 to August 16, 2018. Okay, so what? Any materials dated from 2 days before to 3 days after is all they looked at? They didn't figure that, they could have conjured up something in the weeks prior? Well, well, well. I'm no professor of criminology. What should I say here? Nothing. That's what I'm gonna do. Kick back some coconut water and say nothing. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so said they attempted to search the downloaded XRY files for any material dated from August 11th, 2018 to August 16th, 2018. And that material was downloaded to a PDF document and was later booked into evidence at CBI Lakewood, along with the complete XRY file download that was completed by Detective Parker. And no other analysis was completed on the phone data. Nothing further. And it says the evidence sheet and the XRY download info is on that page. Alright. Okay, here we go. Here we've got something juicy, it looks like. I'm looking around me here. I gotta find my boo. Boo, where are you? I don't see him. Could mean he's going and taking a nap in his bedroom. We have a guest bedroom that he is under the impression is his bedroom. It has a full-size bed, and he sleeps in the middle of it and stares at us until he comes into our bed. So, let's see here. So, follow up on Shanann's missed doctor's appointment. Reporting LEO is Agent Matthew Saylor, the Denver CBI, and was approved on 8/23/2018. Altogether now, approved by Agent in Charge Kirby Quinn Lewis. And the synopsis is a follow-up on Shanann Watts' missed doctor's appointment. And it says that it occurred, number 1, in Erie, Colorado, 80516 in the United States. And the description says it's Centura, so CENTURA, Health, Avista Family Medicine. Ooh. The witness number 1 is POSPISIL, Emma. Emma Popsicle. And it says she's a person, an unknown female, and she's not a juvenile. It says she's the manager. And then the next one says the second witness is Susie Schnell, and she's a white female, and she's a receptionist. And it says on 8/15/18, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI Matthew Saylor, responded to Centura Health Physician Group, Avista Family Medicine, located at 611 Mitchell Way, suite number 103 in Erie, Colorado, to follow up on information we had received that Shanann Watts missed an appointment there on 8/13/18. As we see, this is 8/15, so 2 days later, before the confession. So let's see, because it's at 11:45 in the morning. So it says, upon arrival at approximately 11:45 hours, I contacted Susie Schnell at the front desk. Schnell confirmed that Watts had an appointment scheduled for 8/13/18 at 09:15 hours. Ooh. Ooh, girl. Ooh. 9:15. And that fat fucking troll NA said that she had missed it at when she called at 9. Oh, Okay, so 583. This is very relevant. Appointment was at 0915 on 813. So, my friends, did NA call the police department through the 911 line, which we have evidence of in this, that her first call was made at 9 o'clock, with her stating that Shanann had missed her doctor's appointment. Now, somebody could come along and argue with me and say, yeah, because her car was still in the garage and it's got the car seats and everything, so of course she missed it. She's not there. Somebody could argue maybe she had a friend drive her there because she was so sick, remember? Supposedly she was so sick. Maybe friend came and they helped and dropped off the girls. You know, other friends have car seats, and the girls were 3 and 4 for a short drive. You can put seatbelts in them and just, say that she called a friend, husband, whatever, and said, you know what, I am barfing my guts out. I can't make it to this. Let's say that she called an ambulance even, and and other people were contacted. I guess that would be information given to Christopher Watts, which he would have known, but it's not like they were calling him first. It's not like they called him first to say she missed her appointment. Let's just say that. So she said that she missed her appointment. Now, there are HIPAA violation, HIPAA, I can't think of the word, HIPAA restrictions, HIPAA rules, HIPAA blah, blah, blah. And so if somebody were to call me and I was the receptionist and say, hey, did my friend show up there? Or they could think of anything and be like, hey, my friend said that she wanted me to be there with her. Has she turned up yet? They would not be able to state that unless that person's name was written in as a contact for an emergency contact. And that person would have to know, or be, it'd be like, I'm listed as an emergency contact and I need to see if my friend showed up. Okay, they could have done that. They could have had NA's name there, okay, whatever. But either way, she was calling to say that she had not made her appointment by 9 o'clock when the actual appointment was not until 9:15. Cassie said the appointment was at 10. So, there's a lot of conjecture in there. So Shanann had scheduled this rather tight, to go be able to drop off the girls at school and then get to the appointment at 9:15, but it was scheduled nonetheless. So I don't know if they went in there with a warrant to be able to obtain this information regarding this appointment. I don't know. Maybe it will say, oh, here we go. Okay, my eyeball just crossed and I saw something about HIPAA, so hold please. I'll stop babbling. And also, you guys probably saw one of our truth warriors said the very, very truthful thing. Said, if the word Shanann was not in there, the whole discovery would probably be, 24 pages long. You know what I mean? Because it is so repetitive, and they do this, and you don't even know. I mean, they put it in capitals, and they put these other things in capitals, and these other words that shouldn't be there, and words that should be there are not there, and very repetitive. And, that's great for if there was a trial. They didn't know there wasn't going to be a trial, I suppose, but this would have been just chewed up if there was a trial. And I hope that maybe someday there will be a trial. So, here I go. I'll stop blabbing. I say that and I blab, haha. Anyway, upon arrival at approximately 11:45 hours, I contacted Susie Schnell at the front desk. Schnell confirmed that Watts had an appointment scheduled for 8:13 at 09:15 hours, and that Watts did not arrive for that appointment. Schnell advised me that the appointment was for a standard gender and genetic testing. Ooh. So she may not. Oh. Anyway, okay. Schnell advised me that the appointment was for a standard gender and genetic testing with Stephanie Traver of the women's health side of the clinic. Schnell explained that half of the clinic is dedicated to general practice and the other half was dedicated to obstetrics and gynecology. Schnell told me that the appointment had been previously scheduled for 8/8/18 and 8/9/18. Oh, I may be right. Oh, I may be right. Schnell said that the previous appointments had been canceled and rescheduled by Watts, as opposed to the appointment on 8/13, for which Watts did not show or call. Dr. Traver was not currently in the office. Okay, so what day did she say that she got? Because she canceled. So why is she not getting the regular, just like, I'm pregnant, I'm going and doing what the doctor is telling me I need to do appointment? Oh, that's right, because she's Shanann, and she tells people the way it's going to be. So she canceled the 8/8/9, and then 13. So see, she had these appointments to find out the gender on 8/8 and 8/9, and she canceled. And she rescheduled. That brings more credence to my theory that NA is lying about the ultrasound ever occurring. The only person that could tell the truth on that, because they said that Chris Watts was there, is Chris Watts, but you all know he's not talking. He's content, I guess. And why the rest of us aren't, I guess, is a question that probably all need therapy for. Because if he's content and not talking, I guess why does it bother any of us? Well, it bothers us because what happened to him could happen to any of us, because we all could be railroaded. Oh my God. I'm going to need to shut up or I'm going to start a big freaking manifesto here. All right. I'll try to shut up. It's not going well. I'm Watson out. I need an anti-Watt. I need the anti-Watts venom. I don't think she had the ultrasound. I think that she had NA and her mommy say that it was a boy to keep the marriage going. I really do. All right. Canceled and rescheduled by Watts, as opposed to the appointment on 8/13 for which Watts did not show or call. Dr. Traver was not currently in the office. Ooh. All right. Schnell advised me that Watts was also a patient of Dr. Scott Duard on the general practice side of the clinic, but had not been seen by him since October of 2017. Dr. Duard was not currently in the office. So there you go, with the BS of her being so sick and her lupus and everything else. She wasn't even, because he was a GP, so he wasn't even a specialist. Schnell advised that she could not provide any additional information as it would be a violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. Schnell provided me with the name of the manager of the general practice side of the clinic, Emma Popsicle, at 303 blah blah blah, and of the women's health side, Ann Knowles, and her phone number. Schnell suggested I contact them for any additional information. I left messages for both Papasil and Knowles with my contact information requesting a phone call back. Now, on 8/16 at approximately 1300 hours, I received a phone call from Popsisil. Popsisil advised she was not able to provide any additional information as it would be a violation of HIPAA. As of this time of this report, I have not received communication from Knowles. End of report. Yeah, I'm quite sure that the information that was just divulged was in and of itself a violation of HIPAA. I worked in a hospital for a number of years, and like, we couldn't even say if somebody was a patient or not, because people could be, tricking the system to just see if somebody's still alive or even in the hospital or whatnot, even there. So you couldn't even um, say whether or not you could connect them to their room or anything like that. Those days are gone. HIPAA doesn't allow a lot, so I wouldn't think that the information she just gave. I mean, and if a uniformed police officer comes up to you and asks those questions like they did to her, I can see that she gave them, but she probably got reamed afterwards and had to go to their lawyers and be like, okay, what exactly did you tell them? Because I would have been like, I need you to come back with a warrant, sir. So, CBI of investigation, investigative supplement, is of the Colorado State Patrol Hazmat Team report. Okay, like I say, what are the chances that she had an ultrasound for the gender scheduled for 8/8 and then 8/9, then rescheduled for 8/13? What are the chances she had one in the mall instead on 8/8 or 8/9 and it was revealed it was a boy? By NA. Because they didn't even want the ultrasound person to say what it was. It was all a setup. Because it was going to be said it was a boy no matter what. And then she probably figured once the baby was born, he'd be fine with it being a girl, with this big funny joke that she had, the umbilical cord between her legs. I'm telling you. Back to the side. I don't think she had a freaking ultrasound. But it's said in here that she did, and not the first lie that was in here. So here we are at the Colorado State Patrol Hazmat Team report. Reporting LEO now is Agent in Charge Kirby Quinn Lewis. And he submitted this, and it was approved by Agent in Charge of the Fraud Unit, Ralph A. Gagliardi. And the synopsis is that the Colorado State Patrol Hazmat Sergeant Luke Armstrong provided a report of the hazmat's team activity at Well Site Surveys 319 during the recovery of Bella and Celeste Watts' bodies from the oil tanks on August 17, 2018. The report is attached. No further action is taken for this report, and there is not an associated narrative. The officers involved in this are from the Colorado State Patrol, Luke Armstrong. From the State Trooper's Office of the Colorado State Patrol headquarters are Theodore Bandy, Ted Bandy for all of you who are listening, and of the Colorado State Patrol Hazmat Division, Otto Wilson, and for the Colorado State Patrol Hazmat is Darren Reeder. And the CBI, it's a follow-up at the Primrose School with Agent Matthew Saylor. And it was approved by Agent in Charge Kirby Quinn Lewis on 8/23/2018. So follow-up at the Primrose School of Erie at Vista Ridge. Okay, so that's how that is. Follow-up at Primrose School of Erie at Vista Ridge. And it says occurred number 1. The address is 2998 Ridgeview Drive in Erie, Colorado, 80516, United States. And the description is the Primrose School of Erie at Vista Ridge. And the witness is Chris Lang, who is a white male, not a juvenile, and he is the owner. So the owner is Chris Lang. And the second witness is Shannon Meyer, who's a white female, and she's the area director. The next witness is Alba Orantes. She's a person and an unknown female and not a juvenile. When I'm saying the unknowns, it's saying their background, their bio, their age. Just the way they state unknown. And it says witness number 3, Alba Orantes, is the assistant director. Witness number 4 is Carrie Wood, who is a person who's a white female, not a juvenile, and she's a director. And this is the synopsis of the follow-up at the Primrose School of Erie at Vista Ridge. And the action taken is on 8/15/18. I, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CVI agent Matthew Saylor, responded to Primrose School of Erie at Vista Ridge, located at 2998 Ridgeview Drive in Erie, Colorado, to conduct a follow-up. Primrose is the school of Bella Watts and Celeste Watts, who did not show up for the first day of school on 8/13/18. It was reported that their father, Chris Watts, called the school to advise they would not be attending. Upon arrival at approximately 12:20 hours, I met with the owner, Chris Lang, and spoke with him in his office. Lang said that both Bella and Celeste had attended the school last year and that their mother, Shanann Watts, had pulled them out for the summer because she was taking them to North Carolina for an extended trip. Lang said that both girls were scheduled to start at the school again when the new year started on 8/13/18. Lang said that between 0800 hours and 0815 hours, Shannon Meyer received a phone call from the girls' father, Chris Watts, stating they would not be attending the school. Lang said that Chris then asked Meyer if the girls were at school. Lang said that Meyer was freaked out by the phone call and later reported it by the police. As she should have. With them being missing, absolutely. That would have freaked me the fuck out too. Lang then brought it to Carrie Wood, the director of the school. Wood said that Shanann's mother... Oh my God. Why? We've got Mama Roo in the middle of everything, and she's calling at 8 o'clock. And what the... God. All right. Okay. I'm going to need that anti-Watts venom. Oh, Lord, I'm going to need it in the ass. I'm going to need a shot in the ass of the venom. Anti-venom. Because I've been bit by the Watts bug. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And here I am talking about the Watts. I need the anti-venom. Oh, my God. Because here we go. Wood said that Shanann's mother... We know who that is. Mama Roo... called between 8 o'clock and 8:30 hours to ask if the girls were in school. Okay. You fucking kidding? Alright, I need to calm myself because I'm gonna put this page down too. Like I say, I'm writing out all of the pages that have something relevant, and I'm going to take their pictures and I'm going to put them back up on my restored Instagram account or somewhere else where we can just have a place where it has probably 10 relevant pages. Like, I'll take the paragraphs that actually say things that are relevant out of the pages that I marked. We'll probably have 10 pages of stuff to go on. Like, really, literally, there's so much fat in this piece of bacon. Earth are they all doing at 8 o'clock in the morning when N.A. dropped her off at basically 2 in the morning, and she's a pregnant woman who would still be tired from flying? I mean, did she have something where she said if she didn't call by 6 a.m. then alert everybody in the entire freaking hemisphere? Did she have a safe word? Wouldn't have worked out for me, because you know me in my sleep. And so then it says here, Wood said that Shanann's mother called between 8 and 8:30 to ask if the girls were in school. Okay, and then we have... So with this timeline, 8 and 8:30, we need to find out exactly what time Mama Roo called, because if Watts called at 8:15 and N.A. was already calling the cops by 9 saying that she missed her appointment, the appointment wasn't until 9:15. Mama Roo was calling and seeing if the girls are in school when the girls hadn't even had a chance to get there. Oh, this is crazy. Crazy. Can't believe this. I can't. I can't. I cannot believe this. All right. Here we go. Ready? Wood said that Shanann's mother called between 8 and 8:30 hours to ask if the girls were in school. Wood said that Alba Orantes, the assistant director, then spoke with Shanann's mother midday. Wood asked Orantes what time it was they spoke, and Orantes called around 11:30 hours, again asking if the girls were dropped off. Wood said that she then spoke with Shanann's mother around 1500 hours, so that would be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, again asking if the girls had been dropped off at the school. Wood advised her they hadn't been, and the girls' grandmother told Wood that they were missing. And this bitch wasn't questioned? I then spoke with Meyer by phone, speakerphone in the office. Meyer said that Chris called at about 8:15 hours on 8:13 and said that after he introduced himself, she told him they were expecting to see the girls starting at the school, and he replied he was calling to let them know that the girls weren't going to start. He said he wasn't really sure what was going on yet, but that they were going to be moving and putting the house up for sale, and they were not sure if they were going to stay in this area. Meyer responded with, "That's pretty crazy." And Meyer said that Chris then asked, "The girls aren't there, are they?" And Meyer said she told Chris no, she hadn't seen them, but to let her check and see if they were clocked in, and they were not clocked in. Chris said, "Okay," and to put them down as not coming in. And Meyer asked if he wanted to be placed on a waiting list in case something changes. And Chris replied that they might as well, but they weren't sure what was going on. And Meyer told him to keep them updated, and the teachers would be sad to not see the girls today. Chris thanked her and then hung up. Meyer said that Shanann's mother, she couldn't remember her name, called her about an hour after Chris called and spoke with Orantes. Meyer said that Shanann's mother called back around 11 or 11:30 hours and spoke with her. Meyer said that Shanann's mother said that she was Shanann's mom and that everything was fine and not to tell anyone that she called. What? She said, "Don't tell anyone that I called and excuse me for caring. Don't worry about anything." Meyer said that she told Shanann's mom that she was glad everything was okay and that she was glad they were able to talk to Shanann, and Shanann's mother was hurried and hung up. Meyer said Shanann's mother called back again and spoke with Wood around 1500 hours, which is 3 o'clock. I asked Meyer about Shanann's mother stating, "Excuse me for caring." And Meyer said she assumed that she had spoken with Chris, who became upset that she had called the school. I asked Meyer if they told Chris that Shanann's mother had called, and she said no. The only time the school talked to Chris that day was when he called that morning. Whoa. I asked Meyer about Chris's demeanor when he called, and she said he seemed pretty normal, but she was surprised that the girls weren't coming back. Meyer said she suspected that they weren't really moving and that it was just an excuse. Meyer said it was strange because they had just spoken with Shanann recently and everyone was excited about the girls coming back to the school. Meyer said it was strange to suddenly get a call from Chris stating the girls weren't coming back. Meyer said she didn't notice anything strange in Chris's demeanor, but thought it was strange that he asked if the girls were there. I asked Meyer if Chris was the one who typically called the school and dealt with school issues, and she said no. Shanann did the majority of the pickups and drop offs. Meyer said that Chris did come to the school, but Shanann was the primary communicator. I asked Meyer, who would normally call the school if the girls were sick or something similar, and she replied that Shanann normally would. Wood then told me about her conversation with Shanann's mom at around 1500 hours, and said that she asked if Shanann had ever dropped the girls off, and Wood told her no. Shanann's mother said that they were missing. Oh, this is so weird. Lang said it was a surprise to find that the girls weren't going to be starting. He said they'd been attending the school since March of 2017. Lang said that the girls had never had any problems with the girls, that the school had never had any problems with the girls or Shanann or Chris. Lang said that with the girls being gone for the summer, they hadn't seen them to recently notice any recent changes. Why did they put recently in there one more time? Lang said that Meyer thought the police call from... I'm sorry. Lang said that Meyer thought the phone call from Chris was very strange and wanted to call the police right away. Lang said he told her to wait until they knew something, and as soon as they heard that Shanann and the girls were reported missing, they called police. I left my business card with Lang and asked them to contact me if they had any additional information. End of report. No attachments. Blows my mind, all the things that the mom was doing. Okay, so now we have a CBI investigative supplement, and it is from Leonard King. In the interview, he's the ex-husband of Shanann. And this was on 8/15, and it was from 1427 to 1448, which translates to us civilians as 227 to 248. So approximately a 21-minute call. And the reporting LEO is Agent Stacy Galbraith out of the Denver CBI, and it was approved on 8/23 by Agent in Charge Kirby Quinn Lewis. The synopsis is, it was determined that Shanann Watts was previously married to Leonard King, an attorney in North Carolina. Ooh, he's an attorney. I thought I'd heard that. So she divorced a military man that became an attorney. Huh. And he even tried getting her to go to marital counseling. Interesting. Little side note, Leonard King was in the military. That's how she has the accounts that are still linked in like the USAA and whatever. When I read her bankruptcy, her and Christopher's bankruptcy in one of the episodes, if you haven't heard that one, check it out. I have so many more things to read on the Watts that I have, like, so much more content I can do here. You won't even believe it. So hang on to this channel. Subscribe and like if you haven't, because I have all of the tea and all of the shade, as the kids call it, on all things Watts. But people, never understood how and blah, blah, blah. Well, that was the connection, is that Leonard King was in the military, and he is an attorney. So I wonder if he is a JAG attorney, or does it say he's... So it just says he's an attorney. I wonder if he's a military... He must... If he was an attorney, he must have been... must have had a school paid for by the military, so he can be a military attorney and a private attorney. But I wonder what kind of practice he does. Oh, maybe it'll say. So anyway, Agent Galbraith interviewed Leonard King by phone, and he was at the Frederick Police Department on Patrick Street, Frederick, Colorado, when he was doing that. And the suspect victim number one is Shanann Watts, 34-year-old white female, birthday 1/10/1984. She's got a angelversary birthday, or angel birthday coming up, not angelversary. It does state that she is deceased, and it says that the ex-spouse is Leonard King, and he is 39, so he was 5 years older. And he's an attorney not related to this. States, and oh Lord, here we are. You wouldn't even believe it if I we are on Discovery page 666, the number of the beast. And the synopsis is, it was determined that Shanann Watts was previously married to Leonard King, an attorney in North Carolina. CBI agent Galbraith interviewed Leonard King by phone. Oh, I wonder if she went to North Carolina to go and ask her ex how to properly screw over Chris Watts in a divorce. That's what this was about. Uh-huh. That's why she was in North Carolina. I know it. Okay. CBI agent Galbraith interviewed Leonard King by phone on 8/15. I spoke with Leonard King by phone 8/15 at 14:27 hours, which would be 2:27. He had heard about the case in which Shanann and her children were missing. Leonard reported that he and Shanann were married in 2002, 2003, and divorced in 2007, 2008 in South Carolina. So approximately 5 years. They had no children from their marriage together and have not communicated in over 10 years, he estimated. Leonard reported that he and Shanann took out life insurance policies when they were married around 2004, 2005 through USAA. They were large policies, $250,000 or $500,000. After the divorce, Leonard kept his, but changed it to $100,000 and changed the beneficiary. He assumed that Shanann kept her policy and would have changed the beneficiary. Leonard denied that he currently had any policies on her life, and Leonard does not believe that the divorce decree addressed their life insurance policies. Leonard's current wife dabbled in Thrive, which was the same employment as Shanann Watts. Leonard had heard that Shanann was really involved with Thrive. Leonard actually did not know Shanann's last name until a few days ago. He learned of this case from social media and news. He had already been contacted by NBC News. Leonard agreed to share my contact information with his wife for her to call if she knew anything about Shanann, possibly through Thrive. Now, what are the chances of that? Her becoming involved in Thrive as her husband's ex-wife was. Must be something in the sperm. I asked Leonard about his relationship with Shanann. When their marriage was not going so well, Shanann poured herself into work, worked a lot, and stopped coming home at night. Leonard was unable to get details from her. Shanann would stay gone, but he was never concerned that something happened to her. She'd just disappear and he'd be like, fuck, when she comes back, great. Not so great. Leonard knew that Shanann first worked with cell phones when he met her. What? She worked with cell phones? What's she doing with them? She then went to work in Charlotte, North Carolina, for a Middle Eastern guy that owned a tire and wheel business called Dirty South. She was the store manager. Okay. Middle Eastern guy is Hashim. He's a good-looking, big, tall man that I would not steal from. Let's just say that. And his wheel business is called The Dirty South. And if you've not listened to my episode entitled Queen of the Dirty South, I urge you to. So, Leonard said that he had heard that Shanann left her cell phone at home. He said she used it constantly when he knew her, and she was very well attached to it. She put it in her pink leather wallet. Leonard knew nothing of Shanann's current husband other than what he saw on the news. Leonard said that people liked Shanann. She was a compelling personality. Shanann was in high school when Leonard first met her. She got along well with people. Oh, wait a minute. Shanann was in high school when Leonard first met her? She got along well with people? So Shanann, and Leonard's 5 years older than her. So even if he met her when she was in high school, she would have been underage. Now, there's a certain creator that just pumps out bullshit, like you wouldn't even believe, like just cow pies after cow pies, that is saying and has said that SW had several babies and had one in high school, and it basically was a fetal factory, the business on the side, and I believe that the recent rumor that I just heard out of the bullshit factory was that she had hatched one in North Carolina, um, and like a surrogate. Is I believe what this bullshit factory is saying now. So here you go, because that doesn't match up, because he married the girl. He knew her from when she was in high school. He first met her when she was in high school. She probably started dating him when she was in high school, and that's what maybe some of the secrecy surrounds why she didn't have a date for her prom, and she made a junior take her. But it doesn't sound like she was pregnant at all, because why would she have not kept the baby if she was with Leonard, who was in the military then and aspired to be an attorney, which he is? So if she was with him since she was in high school and he was 5 years older, where are all these kids, and why wouldn't they have been keeping them? You'll never get the answer out of the bullshit factory, because all they created was bullshit, not the truth. But anyway. It's not how I'd like to be spending my golden years. Being an unpaid panelist 24/7 for the bullshit factory, but chewing cud at the bullshit factory. Anyway. So this is interesting how he refers to her. As how he says she was a compelling personality. Not that she had one. And I do believe that on the surface people would like her. Obviously, if she's in sales, Amway to, I didn't know she sold cell phones. And then when she was embezzling from the Dirty South, she was the store manager, and people generally liked her, it sounded like, except for the people who named her in the civil suit. Not for the embezzling. That was a whole different suit. But I think that she was really good at the first impressions, and then as people got to know her, I think she could do the surface friendships, but then when it got to the real truth and who she was and what she did and what she believed in, and how she really treated people, I think once people saw that, they left and were not part of her life. The people who were kept at the surface level remained, but the ones that got further, nope. They're not on all these shows talking about what she was like, are they? Where are all these kids she hatched? I mean, honestly, I am watching the Hulu documentary, or show, not documentary, but it could be a documentary. The Hulu best-selling series, The Handmaid's Tale. And it is so creepy because it could happen. I mean, if you look at the way that our society is devolving with the riots and the shutdowns and the supply issues, and how close we were to going under military law a couple of times because of the rioting and whatnot. What happened in The Handmaid's Tale, I believe, could so easily happen here in America. I believe that it's very plausible. And so watching this show just creeps me out. Um, but the way that they have the handmaids are essentially fetal factories. You know, they have the babies and they give them to the commanders and their wives, blah, blah, blah. The way the bullshit factory acts like that's what essentially Shanann was. And she's cranking out these babies and giving them to the other people. It's like, is the bullshit factory watching The Handmaid's Tale and they're confused? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Has anybody else watched the frickin' Handmaid's Tale? I don't know that I can ever go and select oranges again without looking around at people and being blessed be the fruit under his eye, if you know what I mean. I kept seeing it advertised, and I was like, "What is this show? I don't know." But it's really good. I think I'm in season 5. So, anyway. I asked about Shanann's skills in conflict resolution. Leonard said he was very interested in marriage counseling, and they went to a couple sessions, but it was virtually impossible to engage Shanann in conversation. Ooh, just like I was saying. You can't connect to her. Just like when other people would ask her a direct question, even about the product that she is supposedly, so well at selling, she'd say, go text Addie or whatever. She had her script and what she wanted to say about her life and about her kids and about her husband and about her drama and her life. And if you tried to ask her anything else, she would refer to the script that she had others commanded to know and commanding other people to talk about. So they wouldn't actually observe the truth about her and the truth about her life and the truth about her not making the frickin' house payments that she obviously was not doing as well as other people were made to think she was doing in Thrive. It was all surface. It was all advertisements. It was all false. There you go. Leonard said he was very interested in marriage counseling, and they went to a couple of sessions, but it was virtually impossible to engage Shanann in conversation. Bam, bam, bam. Once she was done, she cut herself off from him. Uh-huh. At home, they would be in different rooms, and she was always too busy for what Leonard had going on. She was not confrontational and more withdrew. Should be withdrawn, but who am I to fix any of this grammar in this mess? All right. I think that's a very accurate depiction, Leonard King. And so it says, she was always too busy for what Leonard had going on. She was not confrontational and more withdrew. I thanked Leonard for his time, and I interview concluded at 14:48 hours. So what was said there by Esquire Leonard King is summed up in a few words that give a lot of information. He met her when she was in high school. They were married for about 5 years. She stopped coming home. He never reported her as missing. She'd just be missing. He tried to get her in marriage counseling. Lasted a couple of times. When they tried to engage her in anything, she withdrew, wouldn't come back. She was not confrontational. She'd withdraw. There you go. When it was done, it was done. And that's how anybody who would have ever confronted her over what she was doing, locking up the girls, it would have been. She would have cut them out of her life. These people that go on these sites and be like, oh, I wish that I would have known her because I would have been this gentle aunt-like person to her and just told her that what she was doing wasn't right, and she would have listened to my advice because she was just so young and didn't know because she didn't have a good mom herself, and I would have shown her, and then the girls and her and everybody would have lived in harmony for the rest of their life, and nothing is further from the truth. Many, many people called her out on what she was doing, and they were discarded. You don't believe me? Go have a chat with Cindy Watts or Papa Ronnie. Ann Meadows interview, realtor of Watts. Conducted by Agent Stacy Galbraith. Approved on 8/24 by Agent in Charge Kirby Quinn Lewis. CBI was asked to assist Frederick PD in a missing persons homicide case. Cassie Rosenberg, close friend of Shanann Watts, provided that Shanann and Chris Watts used Ann Meadows, a real estate agent, to purchase their current home. Agent Galbraith contacted Ann by phone on 8/15/2018. See narrative for details of interview. And this conducted well. Agent Stacy Galbraith was at the Frederick Police Department, and Ann Meadows is a person, a white female who's 58 years old, not a juvenile, and she is stated as a real estate agent. Fun fact about Tabitha Jane: I went to real estate school, but I did not become a real estate agent. Just like some people, they go to law school and they don't become lawyers. I just wanted to become more familiar with the paperwork as my ex-husband and I were buying homes and fixing them up and turning them into rental homes, and I wanted to make sure that I was saving us on all of the BS fees that are wrapped up into the sale of homes and whatnot. I learned enough. Oh, maybe in another life I'll be a real estate agent. I don't know. So the synopsis here is that CBI was asked to assist Frederick PD in a missing persons homicide case. Cassie Rosenberg, close friend of Shanann Watts, provided that Shanann and Chris Watts used Ann Meadows, a real estate agent, to purchase their current home. It was learned that Chris Watts contacted Ann on 8/13/2018 about selling the house. Another fun fact about Tabitha Jane: I had started law school and I had to drop out because I got sepsis, and took many, 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 many moons to come back to life again and even learn how to walk again. So I was going to be an attorney, mainly a women's rights attorney, but because I don't think I could be a trial attorney. I think I'd bite people. I think I'd just jump over and bite people. That's what I'd do. Because I don't like liars, and so if somebody's up there just like lying, I would be like, I need to bite you now. Agent Galbraith contacted Ann Meadows by phone on 8/15/2018 at 19:54 hours. That's 7:54 hours. 7:54 p.m. Ann told me that Shanann Watts sent her... Okay. Agent Galbraith contacted Ann Meadows by phone on 8/15/2018 at 19:54 hours. 19:54. Yeah, it's 7:54. Okay, so she contacted Ann at night. Okay. Ann told me that Shanann Watts sent her a message on Facebook Messenger on 8/10/2018 to tell her that she and Chris Watts were thinking about moving. She said that she would be out of town and back in town Sunday night. So she did. Shanann contacted the real estate agent. She said she'd be back out of town and back in town Sunday night. She wanted to get together with Ann to discuss after she returned. Shanann asked for the best sites to be looking for homes on, and Ann sent her to RE Colorado and sent Shanann a mobile app to search with. Ann then sent Shanann a follow-up message suggesting they get pre-approved for a loan to begin with. Shanann did not reply, and Ann expected that she would once she returned to town. Because, yeah, that's what I was wondering too, is like, how how could they even begin looking if they didn't really know what their budget was going to be and what they could be approved for, quite frankly, which would be nothing because they were behind in mortgage payments. Even if she got 10,000 out, that would not have caught him up enough. She bought airplane tickets out of this, is what she did. She probably told him that she did that. On Monday, 8/13/2018, at 0828, so 8:28 in the morning, Anne received a 3-minute phone call from Chris Watts. Anne was surprised and actually taken aback when Chris called, as it was Shanann that Anne usually talked with about real estate. Anne was their agent when they bought the house they were living in. She only talked with Chris maybe twice during the transaction, and Chris asked Anne if Shanann had called her yet. She told Chris that she had sent her a message in Messenger, and that Anne suggested that he and Chris get it pre-approved for a loan. Now, I am going to assume here that's a typo, or maybe Anne knew something that we all didn't, which would have made sense for the first autopsy confusion. But as you guys can see, Anne refers to SW as a he. Anne suggested that he and Christopher get pre-approved for a loan. Anne, do you know something we don't? Chris told Anne, they say that she wore the strap on the pants in the family. Chris told Anne that no one knew yet, but he and Shanann were getting divorced after not getting along for over a year. Anne was shocked and told Chris that she was sorry. He told Anne that not even his family knows. As the day, 8/13/2018, progressed, Anne sent text messages to Chris and Shanann about the house. Shanann was usually vocal on issues, and Shanann was not weighing in on the group texts. Anne justified that perhaps the divorce situation had Shanann not participating in the topic of the text. Anne discussed comps in the neighborhood and updates to the home by text in an effort to estimate the value. Anne saw on Facebook that Shanann was missing and realized that Shanann had not weighed in all day when she was texting to Chris. Anne reached out to Chris, and she stated that she realized Shanann was missing and asked if he was okay. He assured Anne that he had reported to police and she could send prayers. Anne knew Chris and Shanann before they bought the house they live in. They were both loving to each other and seemed really in love. Shanann was lovely, sweet, and ambitious. Chris was quiet and a good father. Anne knew nothing about the Watts' finances. Anne believed that Shanann was successful with Thrive and she worked hard. Anne? I thanked Anne for her time. Anne forwarded screenshots of her communication with Chris and Shanann Watts. Review of the screenshots forwarded to me by Ann Meadows. Chris Watts' phone number called on 8/13 at 0828 hours, a 3-minute call, and provided a screenshot of the contract entry which shows this call and duration. It's there. And then the Facebook messages between Shanann Watts and Ann Meadows are, and it says Shanann reaches out to Anne to tell her that she and Chris would like to talk about selling the house. She told Anne that she was out of town until late Sunday. Anne asked Shanann where they wanted to move. Shanann told her that he, Chris, was talking about Brighton or Fort Lupton, stating they could not move too far south due to his job. Shanann said they had just talked about it last night. She then said they have thought about it off and on, but the construction behind them was holding them back. They now have a lot of it done. Before Shanann paints the baby's room and more, she wanted to see where they were at and their options. Anne suggested Brighton and Erie. Shanann said they do not want to downsize for the same price they are paying, though. On Friday at 10:25 a.m., Shanann asked Anne about Realtor.com or Zillow. Anne suggested ReColorado.com as the best to look at, and she said she would send her a phone app. On Saturday, 10:05, Anne messaged to suggest Shanann talk to one of Anne's lenders. Because that's what they do now. They're like, yeah, put your money on the table before you waste my time, biatches. Oh, Lord. Okay. These are really blurry. Let me see if I minimize this. Let me see here. Okay. That messed up the pages pretty bad. Let me see here. Let's see what this does. If that's going to allow me narrative 665. Okay, so 590. Ann Meadows, 594, 595. Let's see if this does this or not, because I have it maximized. Ooh. Yeah, they're still really blurry. I mean, I can see the basics. Yeah, it just says exactly what they said, so there's nothing really to see there. I'm gonna go back to full screen. Let's see if that messed up our pages. Good. See, this is what you do. This is what you do. You do that. All right. Let's go to 595. I don't know why it does that. Yeah, okay. So there we go. We're going to come back here. But we're not doing that. Okay. Yeah, it's just too blurry. I mean, from what I could see in there, it's just the basics. You know, just, I mean, you guys can see too. It's just blurry, blurry, blurry. Sorry about that. All right, let's see here. So now it says here too, and it shows, okay, and it narrates them. So it says text between Ann Meadows and Chris Watts. Monday at 12:27 p.m., Ann texted Chris to tell him she was working on his market analysis and asked him about upgrades to the house. Chris replied that the basement is still unfinished. It's shoved with $25,000 worth of Thrive, though, so that somebody could look like they ranked up to the 80,000 mark. Just saying, if you want to do that, you could make them throw in the Thrive, and you could start selling it off. You can sell it on the black market. I don't know. Not worth anything. So Chris replied the basement is still unfinished and there are no upgrades. Anne asked about a comparable model in their neighborhood, and Chris agrees to drive by it when he gets home. Anne says that it is under contract and she will call the realtor to see what is sold for to get a number. Not what it's sold for, but what is sold for. Anne asked, is Shanann okay? She hasn't weighed in all day. And Chris replied, she hasn't been around all day. It's very odd. Like she's buried or something. Anne replied that it is really weird and asked if he was worried. She asked if Chris has checked in with Shanann's friends or called to report her missing. Chris told Anne that he's done it all and the police are handling it now. Monday, 5:47 p.m. Chris thanked Anne. She asked if he drove by the comparable house. He said that he just did and that it is the exact model. Anne was waiting to hear back from the agent and then they could set a time to meet. Why didn't he say that, she painted the dining room gross ass Barney purple? And, honestly, let me see. Okay, so let's see. What I can see here says, so it's just basically right what they said, exactly what they said. But Chris does confirm it's a 3-car garage, and the 6506 address is the comp. And exactly what we said, or what was just stated. And then screenshots sent. Okay, there we go. So, Ann Meadows has nothing to hide. She put it all in there. All right. Interview of Frank Rusick. This is senior, I believe. And the reporting LEO is Agent Matthew Saylor. The backup LEO is Agent Tracy Schwartzbauer. And she's in the fraud unit. She or he. Tracy with an I think would be a she. In the fraud unit of CBI, and it's approved, and it's on 8/27/2018 by Agent in Charge Kirby Quinn Lewis. And this is the interview of Frank Rusick. And this is at 919 7th Street, Greeley in Colorado, 80631 in the United States, the Doubletree Motel. And the witness number 1 is Frank Rusick. Now, when did Frank Sr. get out here? So, Frank Rusick, he's a person. He's a 55-year-old white male, not a juvenile. So he was 21 when he had Shanann. And I don't know how old Mama Rue was. And this is the interview of Frank Rusick. So Frank came out, huh? All right, the action taken. On 8/21, Bureau of Investigation CBI Agent Matthew Saylor and Agent Tracy Schwartzbauer responded to the Doubletree Hotel located at 919 7th Street, Greeley, Colorado, to interview Frank Rusick, the father of Shanann Watts. The interview was conducted in his hotel room, number 205, and began at approximately 14:36 hours. It's 2:36 in the afternoon to us, friends. The interview was audio recorded, and a copy of the recording is attached to this report. The following is a synopsis of the interview. For additional details, refer to the audio recording. It should be noted that prior to the interview, when I met with him in the lobby of the hotel, Rusick advised me of a Facebook friend request he received from someone claiming to be Chris Watts, Shanann's husband, and this is referenced at the beginning of the interview. It was later determined that the account that the friend request came from was a fraudulent account not belonging to Chris Watts. Rusick said Chris Watts was a great father to his children, Bella Watts and Celeste Watts. He said he couldn't have asked for anything better for his grandchildren, and that Chris would play with them, bathe them, and care for them, and take care of them. Rusick said that he felt the same way about Chris as a husband to Shanann, and that he never saw any problems between them. Rusick said that he recently watched the girls while Shanann and Chris went on a vacation she received through Thrive. Bullshit. The company she scammed from. Worked for. Blah. Wattsed out again, sorry. Rusick said he noticed Chris was getting a little more stern with them, but didn't think much about it. Rusick said that he never knew Chris to hit the girls. Rusick said that Chris had lost a lot of weight using Thrive products, but said Chris had always taken care of himself physically. Rusick said that Shanann brought the girls out to North Carolina for 6 weeks and were bouncing back and forth between his house and Chris's parents' house. What? How many times did they go to Chris's parents' house? Because I thought they had the fallout after the one time she went to visit. This doesn't sound right. Did she lie to her dad? No. I'm sorry, but I think that Frank Sr. seems like a good guy. I think that he was a good father and a good grandfather through what I've seen. I think that his spouse is the problem. I don't see him as the problem. Is he probably well connected? Yeah, he probably is. Not a man I'd mess with. But as far as what I've seen in the way that he was a good grandfather to the girls, he was a good grandfather, and I believe he was a good father to Shanann as well. That's just me personally. So I'm really confused on this bouncing back and forth. Who else was she staying with? Because she wasn't bouncing back and forth between his house and Chris's parents' house. Rusick said that Celeste was very allergic to nuts, and Shanann had told them and Chris's parents to put away anything with nuts. Rusick said that they scoured their house for anything containing nuts, and Mama Roo had taken his nuts long ago and put them in the jar. Oh, sorry, never mind. Rusick said that Shanann took the girls to Chris's parents' house a couple of times. Okay, but she didn't get along with Chris's mom. Rusick said that they felt that Shanann had taken their son away from them and didn't go to their engagement party, wedding, or other events. Well, Rusick said that one time when Shanann took the girls over to Chris's parents' house, possibly during the second week of her vacation, Shanann called him and said to get her away from Chris's parents. Rusick said that there were nuts all over the house, and some kids were eating ice cream with nuts. Shanann and Chris's mother had words, and the mother told her it was a training lesson. What? Shanann was angry and told Chris about it, who spoke with his mother. Chris's mother told him the same thing, so Shanann never went back to Chris's parents' house. Oh, gee. So, are you kidding me? She called Daddy and said, "Get me away from his parents. They have nuts all over. There's nuts everywhere. I don't like nuts. You know that me and Mom people's nuts in a jar. Come on, no nuts. Come on." I cannot believe this toddler of a woman. My God. All right. Cindy, it's a training lesson. She did not. She hid all of the nuts too. Yeah, there was pistachio ice cream, and she didn't put it together because she wasn't obsessed with hiding people's nuts in a jar. My God. All right. Rusick said that Shanann and Chris would FaceTime call each other just about every day so Chris could see the girls. Rusick said that a couple of times he overheard Shanann say something to Chris about him not paying attention, like he was in another world. And Rusick said when Chris came out to North Carolina, he was the same as he always was, as far as his demeanor. Rusick said that Chris has always been quiet and doesn't show his emotion. Well, Rusick said that everything seemed normal, and neither Shanann nor Chris ever gave any indication of marital problems. Rusick said that when he heard that Chris was going to a baseball game on Saturday, 8/11/18, he thought it was strange as he never left the girls with someone else when Shanann isn't there. In parentheses, she was in Arizona for a conference. Rusick said Shanann checked her finances on the phone and found out that Chris had spent over $60 on a dinner that Saturday night and asked him about it. Chris told her that he had had salmon and a couple of beers, but Shanann thought that was a lot of money for salmon and a couple of beers. Rusick said that he was told this by one of Shanann's friends, not from Shanann. Oh, so she didn't tell Daddy. Rusick said that he spoke to Chris on Sunday night, 8/12/18, on FaceTime. Rusick said that Bella was eating cold pizza and some candy. I'm having pizza and candy. I'm having pizza and candy because the mean mama is not here. Rusick said that was the last time he spoke with any of them. Rusick said that he hadn't talked to Shanann recently because he usually leaves her alone when she's out of town. In other words, when she needs something, she calls him, and he's there. When asked how he found out that Shanann and the girls are missing, Rusick said that his wife, Sandra Rusick, tried to get a hold of Shanann and couldn't. Rusick said that sometimes his wife can be pushy with Shanann, and Shanann will not respond to her. So Sandra will ask him to contact Shanann for her, but she never did that day. Rusick said that his wife called Chris and told him that Shanann wasn't answering her and that he should call the hospitals. Rusick said that when she was in North Carolina, Shanann was very excited about taking Bella to kindergarten, but she didn't show up at school. Okay, now this is another point of conjecture where people say that Bella was entering kindergarten. Not technically. This is a private daycare type school. It's not traditionally kindergarten in the way that we view K through 12. I don't know how their requirements are. I would imagine that this is very much a pre-K, but we've all talked about how she would not have been ready to enter kindergarten by school standards. Those of us who are moms know that there are kindergarten readiness tests if there is any doubt, and there would have been doubt very much, especially her age. She had not yet hit 5, and you have to hit 5 by a certain date. So she would not have been starting kindergarten. She would have been, I guess they must refer to it as kindergarten in that Primrose School, which is a / daycare that is conducted as if it is a school in the one part of it for the older kids, where they have the babies in one side, the toddlers, and then the school. It sounds like it sounds very, very prestigious. As the costs were broken down, as we saw, cost more than I'm paying for my son's college right now, you know. So this is where it is, because it says that Bella was to start kindergarten on Monday, and that's where people fight about it, because she was not starting kindergarten. But that's what this was referred to, and that's Shanann had different words for different things to sound good to other people, and this is one of them. Rusick said that Shanann was a stickler when it came to being on time to everything. Rusick said that Chris told Sandra that he had texted Shanann a few times and that she was in, quote, one of her moods, that they had a small fight, and Shanann was going to a friend's house. Rusick said that Sandra received a phone call from Shanann's friend Nicole saying the police were at Shanann's house because she was missing. Nicole said they couldn't get into the house because of the security latch that Rusick had installed on the front door. So she had Daddy put that latch there, huh? Rusick said that he called Chris several times, asking where he was at, and Chris told him that he was hurrying home. Rusick said that Nate, Chris's neighbor, told him that he had a video of Chris backing his truck into the driveway. Rusick said that Chris's truck was never in the driveway because Shanann didn't want it leaking oil. That makes more sense because remember when we saw that Chris didn't want it leaking oil? I'm going, how would it leak oil? From the oil, because it was from the oil fields, is what was stated in that. Yeah, and I mean, vehicles leak oil. Mine does. My home was built 2 years ago, and yes, we have oil spots in the driveway. Oh, well, it is a home that you live in. But that, anyway, this makes more sense. Shanann didn't want oil spots in the driveway. Oh, my God. Well, if you were making as much as you say you were, you would just have your driveway resealed, silly. Or, you know what I do? I wait until my husband hasn't finished one of his Diet Cokes or the kids have left a Diet Coke somewhere. And I go and I pour the rest of the Diet Coke on the oil spot. And then what do you know? The next time it rains, Mother Nature takes care of that oil spot because the Diet Coke breaks it away. Breaks it up and it's done. But anyway, that makes sense. And that he lived in the house with Chris and Shanann for over a year and never saw the truck in the driveway. So they lived there for over a year. I'd heard that, and it's just shocking. Rusick said that Nate also told him that while Shanann was gone, Chris took her SUV out of the garage and parked it onto the street. Rusick said both of those pieces of information were very concerning to him as they were vastly different from the norm. Well, if she's out of town and he's got to take the girl somewhere, he was taking the Lexus, which is also in his name because it's not what she actually earned, but anyway. Rusick said that Sandra was on the phone with Nicole when they got into the house with the police. And they heard that Shanann's cell phone and purse were still in the house. He knew something was wrong. Rusick said that the police said it was possible that Shanann had left, but he said he knew that it wasn't possible because Shanann never went anywhere without her phone, that she had it 24 hours a day. Rusick said he didn't believe that Shanann would hurt the girls, as Chris had claimed. He said the girls were her life, and taking care of kids was her life. Rusick said he didn't know anything about Shanann and Chris's financials, as they never discussed it with him. Rusick said that they never asked him to lend them money. Rusick said that Shanann never told him anything about her and Chris not getting along. Rusick said that Chris and Shanann met through a mutual friend in North Carolina. He said that Shanann had migraines and fibromyalgia. Here I was talking about my fibro. And one time, when she first met Chris, she told him that her head was hurting and she fell asleep on Chris's lap. And he let her stay there for hours and didn't move while he rubbed her head. That was a kiss of death, Christopher Watts, if you must know. It really was. You should have not done that. You should have farted while her head was in your lap and she was asleep, and not stopped and turned her head toward the fart, and you would not now be where you're at. Anyway. Rusick said that Chris and Shanann married in North Carolina and then moved to Colorado because the weather was better for Shanann's medical conditions. And from getting away from embezzlement charges. Rusick said that Chris quickly found a job in Colorado because he was a master mechanic and moved out before Shanann did. Shanann stayed behind because she had to sell a house she owned in North Carolina. Rusick said they moved to Colorado about 4 or 5 years ago. Rusick said that Chris deleted his Facebook page about a week and a half ago when he talked to him on the phone on Monday, 8/13/18. Rusick said Chris was not very active on Facebook and wasn't aware of any other social media he used. Rusick said that Shanann called and told them when she became pregnant. Rusick said that they believed Chris and Shanann were trying to have another baby, but they were concerned for Shanann's health. Rusick said that every time she became pregnant, she had an elaborate way of telling Chris and video recorded it. Rusick said that they kept asking what the sex of the baby was, and Shanann kept telling them she didn't know. Rusick said that Chris told them the doctor wrote the sex down and sealed it in an envelope, but he never got to see that. Rusick said that they were trying to have a boy, that Chris wanted a boy. Notice in this what he just said. Rusick said that Chris told them the doctor wrote the sex down. Okay? As we saw, the doctor's appointments were canceled. They were in the mall or whatever, the mall place, having a private ultrasound. That's not done by a doctor. That's just done by the person who owns the place. So, it sounds like here, Rusick Sr. never heard that it was a boy out of anybody's mouth. He heard later from N.A. I bet. The well-crafted liar. Rusick said they were trying to have a boy, that Chris wanted a boy. It doesn't work that way. And especially when you're a man who's had your balls put in a jar, honestly, it is the stronger how is it? I can't think of the word right now. The stronger female or male. You'll have to read it because my brain is broken right now. But you'll see in families where it's like they have more girls, they have more boys or whatever. It's because they've proven that the stronger, more dominant gene allows it. I've had 5 boys and 1 girl. So what does that tell you? I'm a submissive female, right? And then when you have SW who, oh yeah, they want a boy because to please, she's wearing the pants in the family, right? She has girls. It's really weird, but it's because of the, you'll just have to look it up as to how sex is determined. But there's something more to that. And who's more dominant? Okay, let's see here. Either way, you can't just like, we're trying to have a boy. Like, there's nothing to make it. You can read all these books and say that you can eat this and that to make it more likely to make but it's not gonna work. Let me see. Rusick said that the last time he spoke with Shanann was before she left for Arizona. Rusick said that he normally would talk with her every day because he would FaceTime with the girls. Rusick said that if Shanann was gone, he'd still FaceTime with the girls through Chris. Rusick said that he spoke with the girls on Sunday, 8/12/18. Rusick said that he spoke with Chris and Bella. And Bella said something about her mommy coming home, and he told her not until late. Rusick said that the girls were eating dinner, so he believed it was approximately 1900 hours, his time in North Carolina. So that's 7 o'clock p.m. Rusick said that the girls usually eat around 1700 hours, which is 5 o'clock p.m., and Shanann was very strict on their schedule. Rusick said that everything seemed normal while on FaceTime. Rusick said that when he heard Shanann was missing and her phone was in the house, he immediately knew something was wrong. Rusick said that he installed the security latch on the front door, and that if Shanann came home late, she probably would have engaged it. He said that Shanann utilized the latch more often than Chris did. Chris said that Shanann doesn't open the garage door until everyone is in the car because the girls will run away. They're going to make a break for it. I've never heard of such lockdown provisions. Oh my word. I'm telling you, this is more and more like The Handmaid's Tale. Alright. Rusick said after he heard of all of the circumstances, such as the phone and EpiPen still in the house, like I say, you have a slew of EpiPens when you have an anaphylactic child or that. I don't know how it was that she had the one EpiPen. And the doors locked from the inside, he immediately suspected that Chris had done something. Rusick said that it wasn't like Shanann and Chris. Okay, let me see. Rusick said that it wasn't like Shanann and Chris was the only one to see her that day. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to try it one more time. Rusick said that after he heard of all of the circumstances, such as the phone and EpiPen still in the house, and all the doors locked from inside, he immediately suspected that Chris had done something. Rusick said that it wasn't like Shanann and Chris was the only one to see her that day. Whatever. I give up on that one. Rusick said that he and Sandra lived with them for 15 or 16 months a couple of years ago. He said he was in Colorado for Christmas 2016 and possibly 2015, but was back in North Carolina for Christmas 2017. Wow. So that time, okay. Rusick said that when the girls would get punished for anything, they would always cry for him. Why would those girls get punished for? What would they have ever done that was worth punishing? That would be a mother that sets out the expectations and has a home that is safe and stimulating for their minds. And what do you know? You don't have kids that have time to do anything punishable. Why punish children? Freaking asshole. Don't do it. Anyway. He said Shanann set it up so that when he left here after watching them for the week, that Shanann and Chris were gone, that she would fly back to North Carolina with him. She initially was going to stay for a couple of weeks, but ultimately ended up staying for 6 weeks. Oh, so this was only going to be a couple of weeks. Ooh. So Frank Sr. understands the deets a lot more than anybody else. And it's sad that the girls would cry for him after their evil ass mom punished him. I mean, that just proves that he was not the punisher, that she learned the weird flowers in the attic punishing things from her mother. And if they both would have just knocked it off, we wouldn't be in this situation. Not saying that she's responsible for it, but that she greatly contributed to the stress that caused something terrible to happen. That's really sad. The girls just loved him as the papa. The girls had good grandpas. And Cindy was a good grandmother. So it was only there for 2 weeks, but they ended up staying for 6. That's so interesting. Rusick said that when he had them in the airport, the girls ran away from him. And when he caught up to them, Bella was screaming at the top of her lungs. Rusick said that when they went back to the house, the girls did the same thing to Chris. Rusick said, looking back, it is possible that Chris got tired of the girls crying for their mother instead of him, and he resented that. And, and people will be like, well, if her mom was so bad, why do the girls want it? Because that's a trained behavior. Look up Stockholm Syndrome. Rusick said that Chris's father was very close with the girls and always commented on Shanann's posts of the girls on social media. Rusick said that it's possible that Chris thought that if something happened to Shanann, the girls would go to her parents instead of his and didn't want that to happen. Rusick said that the 6-week trip to North Carolina was the first time they had visited for that long. Shanann initially said that she was coming out for a couple of weeks, then decided to stay longer because she was pregnant and wouldn't be able to keep flying. Rusick said that he and his wife take their vacations to come to Colorado to watch Bella and Celeste while Chris and Shanann go on trips paid for by Thrive. Paid for by Christopher Watts, paying for all the Thrive that she's buying. Rusick said that he believes that Shanann was in North Carolina. Rusick says he believes the time Shanann was in North Carolina gave Chris time to think about what he wanted to do, and that he doesn't believe this, in parentheses, the murder of Shanann and the girls, was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Rusick said this because Chris moved the car out of the garage, that he had a girlfriend, that he knew where to take the bodies, and that things don't add up. Rusick said that Shanann got her Lexus through Thrive, who paid for the car. And that, my friends, is not true. But, just one more thing in here. And it could have been because, like I say, if she used all of his salary to buy all the Thrive, sure. Then technically, Thrive would say you qualified for this car, right? But then it would have been in her name. Why is it in his name? Right? I could have used my husband's salary to buy so much Tupperware that I would have earned the pink Tupperware mobile. They're similar to the Mary Kay mobile, but they have the Tupperware mobile, the Tupperware van. And so you don't see them often because it's really hard to earn one, but you can earn a vehicle through Tupperware as well. Where would I put the Tupperware if I no longer had a house or a husband? Because I cheated him out of his money to buy the Tupperware that got the vehicle. Would I go live in the vehicle with all the Tupperware? But then that vehicle is going to be taken because if I don't maintain that same amount of sales each month, I won't have the Tupperware mobile. You see? So, the fact that she was not making the house payment and then the monies that she would get back in commission were because she put in so much money that, yeah, some of it's going to come back. It's very hard to explain, and I'll do a better job of it in a different video. But for right now, you just have to imagine what she did and how it led to all of this. It's bizarre. I don't know that anybody else has ever screwed their family over in this quite way before. And it's time that it's explained in the way that she did it. You have mandatory minimums that you have to sell. And if you sell this much, then you get this. So, like I say, if you buy that much and you put it under that you sold it. So you have to say you sold it to this, that you're buying it and you're giving it to this person, right? That's why there was $25,000 worth of Thrive in her basement, because she bought so much, saying that she was selling so much. But then the people under her that she signed up, like her husband and her family members, which is against the rules, she would have had to have put that they were selling that much as well. So she would have had to have said that Christopher Watts sold this much as well. So she bought it in saying that he was giving it out to these customers. Okay? And then, as he said, she had a downline of 200. We don't know if she made up people's names at this point. I have to work harder to find out more about how she squandered all of it away. But yeah, it's a technicality saying that she earned this, that she got the vehicle from Thrive. Because sure, technically she did. But it was because she cheated it into that. Whereas if she was not taking all of the money, then they could have made their house payment. But bottom line is, she couldn't stand the girls, and she had them locked up for 15 out of 24 hours when she was in charge of them. When she was alone and in charge of them, she locked them up. So, obviously, people started speaking up, probably the grandparents, that wasn't right. So what'd she do? She started putting them in this school, this Primrose School, hard to get into, got the Thrive connections to do it. Well, that cost them money, a lot of money. So she wasn't making the mortgage payment, and she was paying for the girls to be in the Primrose School. Those two things were making this whole situation a house of cards. And she was looking straight at Christopher Watts every day, saying, "Why didn't you grab my ass? Why didn't you do this?" When she was lying about doing all of this. It's mesmerizing how anybody could do this to anybody. So anyway, Rusick said that Shanann got her Lexus through Thrive, who paid for the car. He said that Shanann told Chris to take an Uber to the airport when he went to North Carolina, and he took the Lexus instead. Wow. Rusick said this angered Shanann because she was worried about Hale. Rusick said that Shanann was very protective of her car. What? So she told him, and this car is in his name, the house is in his name. She told him to take an Uber when he went to North Carolina, and he took the Lexus instead, which would have meant that the Lexus would have been parked at the airport. And she was worried about Hale. Oh my God. That's what you have insurance for. I wonder if she didn't have insurance on the Lexus. Thrive would have, well, if Thrive actually technically was paying for it, they would have required the insurance. That's a very interesting thing to look into. Very protective. Rusick said that Shanann was a fighter and has very powerful legs. How would he know that she has powerful legs? How kind of a father says this? I've heard this before, but I have never read it. And it's real strange. Because it says Rusick said that Shanann was a fighter and has very powerful legs. How and why would he know that? Did she go and kick the shit out of her family on a regular basis? What is this? She has very powerful legs. Rusick said he believes that Shanann was sleeping when Chris killed her, because if she had been awake, she would have fought and Chris would have injuries. Oh my God. Rusick said that Shanann had lupus, bullshit, fibromyalgia, migraines, and about a year ago had neck surgery. Rusick said that she had medical issues when she was a kid, but they couldn't figure out what was wrong, because nothing was wrong. Rusick said that she was finally tested for lupus while living in North Carolina. Rusick said that after moving to Colorado and started using Thrive products, Shanann was able to stop taking her lupus medication. Rusick said that he and his wife also use the products and they work very well. Rusick said he wasn't aware of any mental conditions suffered by Shanann. Rusick said she might have had some issues with her pregnancies, and this is why they were so worried about her being pregnant again. Rusick said she did not have any postpartum depression. Rusick said he wasn't aware of any medical issues that Chris had, possibly beside possibly a hernia. Rusick said he wasn't aware of any psychiatric issues Chris may have had and didn't believe he ever went to a psychiatric doctor. Well, note he didn't say that about his daughter. Not going to a psychiatric doctor. Rusick said that Celeste had severe allergies as well as a problem with her throat that went away. He said Bella had allergies when she was a baby, but no other medical issues. Rusick said that he spoke with Chris every night on FaceTime. He said they called every night around dinner to talk to the girls, and he didn't call to speak with just Chris. Rusick said they had called on FaceTime on Sunday, 8/12/18 on his wife's phone. What? So Shanann did not have her phone with her in Arizona? This has to be a typo. Because it says, oh, maybe it means Mama Rue's phone. Rusick said they called on FaceTime on Sunday on his wife's phone. Okay. Rusick said Bella was eating cold pizza and he didn't see Celeste but heard her. Rusick said that he heard her talking about Mommy coming home, and Chris told her that she was coming home tonight, and when she woke up the next morning, her mom would be home. That's probably why Cece was in the back trying to break him out of there. Rusick said that Chris has a sister. He said Chris's dad was very involved with the girls, and his mother was more hands-off. Rusick said that all of Chris's family blocked them on Facebook after the fight over the nuts at Chris's parents' house. Rusick said that Shanann and his son, Frankie Rusick, are his only children. Rusick said that the keypad to the garage door did not work when he was living at the house and believes it was still broken. Rusick said that it was not uncommon for there to be a blanket on the couch in the loft, and that it was usually a king-size blue or burgundy blanket. Rusick said that he is colorblind, so the colors may be off. He said it was not unusual for Shanann to sleep on the couch in the loft. Rusick said that Shanann built the house they lived in North Carolina, and everything in that house was moved to the house in Colorado. Rusick said that Shanann was a very hard worker. Rusick said he had no further information. I left my contact information and advised him to contact me with any additional information. Now, this is interesting because it says Rusick said that Shanann built the house they lived in North Carolina. That they lived in North Carolina. It was only her that lived in it. And then it says, and everything in that house was moved to the house in Colorado. I thought that it was stated that the home had to be sold with the contents in it, as it wasn't selling for the price she wanted or whatever. So anyway, that was that. Now the next thing just says, it's a supplemental report here. And report date 8/22. Interview of Frankie Rusick. So I'm not sure if this is just the signing off of it. Let's see here. Reporting LEO is the agent Matthew Saylor, and then Tracy Schwartzbauer. 8/27, approved by agent in charge Kirby Quinn Lewis. Interview of Frankie Rusick, and it was the Doubletree Motel. Oh, what? They brought Junior. They brought Junior. Took Junior on a plane. 32-year-old white male. Narrative begins on the following page. All right, so what? The family's up in the Doubletree, and they've got Daddy and Junior. All right. Interview of Frankie Rusick. And it does not say Junior, so I'm going to pop that in there because it was a junior. Let's see here. On 8/21/18, I, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI, Agent Matthew Saylor, and Agent Tracy Schwartzbauer responded to the Doubletree Hotel located at 919 7th Street in Greeley, Colorado, to interview Frankie Rusick, brother of Shanann Watts. The interview began at approximately 15:47 hours and was conducted in his hotel room number 205. The interview was audio recorded, and let me see here. 21, okay. A copy of the recording is attached to this report. The following is a synopsis of the interview. For additional information, refer to the audio recording. Rusick said that Shanann wasn't sick while in North Carolina until the day her husband, Chris Watts, arrived. Really? Oh, I thought she was so sick and couldn't deal with the pregnancy and was vomiting and everything. Oh, So, Junior's here to spill the tea because Junior spills the tea. But he doesn't know he's spilling the tea, but he spills the tea. So Junior says, Rusick said that Shanann wasn't sick while in North Carolina until the day her husband, Chris Watts, arrived. Rusick said that Chris was acting standoffish, but they didn't think much about it. Rusick said that he was pretty close with Shanann, and she would tell him things that she wouldn't tell her parents. Rusick said she never said anything to him about her and Chris not getting along. Rusick said that there were things that she would tell her friends that she wouldn't tell him because she didn't want him to worry or tell their parents. Rusick said that on that day that Chris arrived in North Carolina, she was throwing up and had a bad headache. Rusick said that Shanann has always had bad headaches. Rusick said that he doesn't sleep well and is often up, so he would check on Shanann. Rusick said that Shanann slept on the couch that night, which he thought was odd. Shanann said that Chris never came out to check on her, which was out of character for him because he was always so caring. Rusick said that Chris was a very good mechanic and helped him fix his brakes. Rusick said that Chris was always a good guy and he hugged him and thanked him for everything when Chris left North Carolina. Rusick said as soon as he saw the interview Chris did on TV, he knew Chris had done something to Shanann and their daughters, Bella Watts and Celeste Watts. Rusick said that he was planning on coming to Colorado in October for Halloween. How fitting. Rusick said that one day Shanann was on the phone and the girls were screaming for her, even though they could see her. Rusick said the girls wanted to be sure their mom was close by them. Rusick said he made a comment to Chris about him being chopped liver. Rusick said that he couldn't see Chris hurting Shanann and couldn't image what had happened. Yep, image, not imagine. Rusick said he heard a noise about 2 in the morning on the night Chris arrived in North Carolina and checked on it to find Shanann was sick. Ruzick asked her if it was due to the pregnancy, and she said it probably was. Ruzick said Shanann had made a post about how she was dehydrated from being in the South, but Ruzick said there was no way because she drank a lot of water. Ruzick said that Shanann ate lots of vegetables and took care of herself, and that taking care of her unborn baby was her first priority. Oh my God. Is this dude in this much denial? Did she hide everything from him? And that's what's going on? Because if she was eating them vegetables and drinking that water, she wouldn't be needing to tell her buddies that she hadn't taken a shit in weeks. Oh my God. And yeah, she'd be vomiting because the turd tried to come back up the throat. I think, my God, weeks? What in the world? Ruzick said that he heard that Shanann and Chris got into an argument that night, but he didn't hear it. Ruzick said he believed it was the night before Shanann, Chris, and the girls left North Carolina. Ruzick said he believed the argument was over Chris's parents. Ruzick said that he lived in Colorado for about a month and a half when Bella was first born. Ooh. Ruzick said that Bella is quiet and distant, and Celeste is more wild. Ruzick said they learned of Chris's confession on the news. Ruzick said the family received phone calls from the media, and he spoke with one of them for about 30 minutes before realizing who she was. Oh no, don't let Junior answer the phone. Ruzick received a friend request on Facebook from a Chris Watts. I checked the alert and observed the profile was from a booking photograph of Chris and advised Ruzick that it was most likely a fake account created by someone in an attempt to get a reaction out of the family. Oh no, Junior. Junior, stay off of the media and stay off of the phone. Junior, no. Ruzick says that he feels sorry for Chris and that he loved him like a brother. Well, then why are you talking such horrible smack about him now? Junior, think about what you know is the truth and what you found out with good supporting evidence about how people were. And for goodness sake, watch Sneaks Peeks, Junior. Look at how your sister really mistreated everybody and think about it. Ruzick said there is no doubt in his mind that Shanann would never hurt her children. Oh, God, Junior, what in the world? Are you an ostrich? Or a mushroom? Do they keep you in the dark and feed you shit? Or is your head buried in the sand? Put your head up your ass. One of the two. Pull your head out. Ruzick said that Shanann found pistachios in his room and became very upset because Celeste is very allergic to them. He said she wasn't supposed to be able to have kids because she had lupus and the girls were his life. Oh God, Frankie Jr. Junior, think about what your sister did to the Watts because they had pistachio ice cream. Okay? You had pure ass pistachios. You're lucky that you still have your nuts, if you do. Because look at what she's done to somebody else and the way that they are perceived to this day, and that you've contributed to that because you, according to her, also committed this mortal sin. For all that I see you talking, Junior, and all that you do all the time, Junior, and you don't know the truth, Junior? Junior, there's so much to the truth. And I won't even talk about your criminal record. Do you want to talk about your criminal record, Junior? Then why do you keep talking about other people's? You, Junior. Oh man, Junior. Junior, 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 Junior. Junior. You had pistachios in your room. She allowed you to live. Very odd. Rusick said that Shanann only slept on the couch in North Carolina one night, and he believed it was the night Chris arrived. Also, Junior, the reason that Shanann did not have kids, couldn't have kids, was because she was using condoms with her spouses. It had nothing to do with the fact that she did not have lupus. Rusick said the last day they were in North Carolina, they were supposed to meet Chris's family at the beach. He said they went to the beach but didn't meet up with Chris's family due to the earlier fight over the nuts. Yeah, think about your nuts too, Junior. Rusick said he kept in contact with Chris's sister, Jamie Watts Williams, even after the big fight. He said he received text messages from her after Chris's interviews on the news, and she was defending him. He told her that people were going to talk bad about him and to not let it bother her. So, Junior, you were still defending Chris because you saw him as the good father that he was. To the effect that you told Jamie that people were going to talk bad about Chris and not to let it bother her. Junior? Junior. Rusick said Chris's dad posted pictures of the girls all the time, and that he liked and commented on all of Shanann's posts of the girls. Rusick said that Chris's family lives in Spring Lake, North Carolina, which is about 45 minutes to an hour from Aberdeen, where they live. Rusick said he didn't speak with Shanann as much as he used to, partially because she posted so much on social media. Rusick said he has depression, and he believes he needs medications or to see a doctor. I agree, Frankie, especially with the things in your criminal record. I would agree that you need counseling and some good medication. Nothing wrong with that. Robert Mary interview of an Anadarko employee on 8/23/2018 by Agent Stacey Galbraith. Approved by none other than Agent in Charge, Herbie Quinn Lewis. CBI was requested to assist Frederick PD in a missing persons case homicide. Robert Mary was identified as an Anadarko employee who worked with and knew Chris. Chris Watts. Agent Galbraith interviewed Robert by phone on 8/23. And this was on Kipling Street in Colorado, and the subject name is Robert Mary. He's a 34-year-old white male person, not a juvenile, and he's an Anadarko employee. And it says Anadarko, and I swear in some of the other ones it said Anadarko, so I was like, did I say it wrong? Well, it says Anadarko in some, and it says Anadarko in others. So the synopsis here is that the CBI was requested to assist Frederick P.D. in a missing persons case homicide, and Robert Mary was identified as an Anadarko employee who worked with Chris and knew Chris Watts. The action taken was Agent Galbraith interviewed Robert Mary by phone on 8/23 of 2018 at 10:53 hours. That's 10:53 in the morning. Robert met Chris Watts roughly 2 years ago through work at Anadarko. Chris was Roberts' team rover. Chris also did computer work in the office in the absence of IOC staff that worked on computers. Robert does not know what IOC stands for, and I don't either. I'm going to say internal office computers or inter-office computers just because they look at computers to determine things about well production. Chris would look at the computer and then have someone go check out a well if perhaps the production was down. Chris worked mostly in the field. He was always a rover and worked as an extra hand to employees, such as Robert, who had an assigned route. As a rover, Chris was not dedicated to a certain route. He would talk about the work group to see what help was needed where, and then work there. Chris was a field operator and would cover routes as relief to those that were off work or could not cover their own routes. Robert considered Chris a work friend. They did not socialize outside of work. Sports was a big thing to Chris, and he is a Carolina Panther fan. Chris would talk about football with Chris. Robert would talk about football with Chris. Chris did not really know anything about anything personal at work. If Chris was gone from work, Robert and others would know that his kids were having a health issue. That was really all Robert knew of Chris's family. Funny how Rushik Sr. didn't really know about those health issues that the kids had. I mean, he knew about little, but not to like the effect that the employees think that Chris Watts has had kids that are sick for 2 years. But that's how she kept Chris, is that the sicknesses that she said she had and the girls had. That's how she kept him, because if ever they didn't have those crises going on, he could think for a second about what was really going on, you know? So Robert last saw Chris at work on 8/10/2018. Chris acted as he usually does. Robert has since watched interviews Chris gave to the media prior to his arrest, and Robert felt that the Chris on the interviews was the Chris he knew at work. His demeanor and body movements were as Chris was, the way Robert knew Chris. He demonstrated nothing out of the ordinary to Robert. Robert saw Chris every day at work in the mornings. The employees with assigned routes would then leave the office and go to work on their routes. Chris would get a task assigned or go back to work on something he was already working on. Robert saw no indications that Chris had any family problems. He never met Shanann or their children. Robert once talked to Shanann by phone for her to give him her spiel about Thrive. Robert stories about how Chris had a happy family, and Robert would have guessed that Chris lived a normal, happy family life. I asked about Chris's ability to complete tasks and work. There were no indications that Chris was not of sound mind at work. Chris was very thorough and checked boxes to make sure he had what he needed to get a job done. Chris was a mechanic prior to working for Anadarko. Robert said that Chris did his job very well. Okay. Robert stated that, and this doesn't make sense again because it says this, Robert stated that is trying to remember Chris as the guy that he worked with after this case. He was hesitant to provide his mailing address as he fears being bombarded with contact efforts to gain information. I assured him that his address would be in the law enforcement official report, which would be provided to the Frederick PD in the DA's office, but would not be released to the media by CBI. I told him that in the event he would be needed as a witness to testify, he would be contacted in the future. He did provide his address, and I thanked Robert for his time. And then another thing is a phone collection interview with Nicole Kessinger from August 23rd, 2018, from Agent Kevin Kobach, approved by Kirby Quinn Lewis. August 23, interview with Nicole Kessinger at CBI as a synopsis. The victim is Shanann Watts, 34-year-old white female who is deceased. And here we have it saying Nicole, Nichol Lee Kessinger. It says her alias is Nikki as Nikki. That's where. So when it's going by Nikki, it's Nikki. And when she goes by Nicole, it's Nichol. Ah. I wonder why she wouldn't go by Nicki. Because she wants to be like cool, I suppose. And it says her occupation is quality control and safety. And it says that the witness number 2 is Charlotte Nelson, and it says she's a person. And it says that in here, it was the evidence of it's evidence in a felony case. So when it's looking at her iPhone 6 Apple, and it's in the property and evidence. And what this is, and the action taken, is it says that on August 23rd, 2018, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI, Agent Kevin Kobach, arranged to meet Nicole Kessinger at the Colorado Bureau of Investigation office in Lakewood, Colorado. Kessinger and I had previously discussed her cellular telephone, iPhone 6, which she used to converse and text with Christopher Watts. Kessinger had previously consented to a search of her cellular telephone in Thornton, Colorado on August 16, 2018. While at the Thornton Police Department, her cellular telephone was downloaded using the XRY software. As a backup in an effort to possibly recover more information, I requested that Nicole allow the Colorado Bureau of Investigation to download her phone again using a different software too. And it says it's called Cellebrite, CELLEBRITE. Nicole consented to another search of her phone and agreed to come to the CBI office and provide me her phone. Nicole arranged to transfer her phone service to another phone which she had previously used. When Nicole transferred her phone service from her current phone to her older phone, a Samsung S5, multiple text messages which she had previously reported as deleted were recovered on her old phone. Attempts were made to download Nicole's older telephone using Cellebrite at the CBI. The phone was unable to be downloaded. Nicole did send me text messages of the recovered text between her and Christopher Watts. The recovered messages are from Watts' phone number. I won't say. No messages were recovered between Nicole and Watts' business / Anadarko phone number. I won't say it. The recovered messages are as follows. Ooh. Let me see if they are summed up because they're pretty blurry. Let me see if I can see that they are chronicled because they're really blurry. I don't know if I can see them well enough, but I don't see that they are. Okay, I'm going to try to decipher them, and then I'm going to read what it says after that, and then I will conclude this one because I think we're going to be 2.5 hours on this one. But let's see here. because I'm going to do my best, but it's blurry. Let me see here. I wonder if I get my glasses that are not like. Let me see here. Let me see if I can grab something. Ouch. We're old. Ugh. Let me see here. Oh, hi, Kiss. How are you? Okay, let's see. My glasses are for like far vision and whoa, these glasses are gonna work, I think. Because I have astigmatism, so I can't see like things in the dark, and they're for far away. So usually they don't help with reading. And this is an old prescription, but this looks like I can do this. Let me see here. Okay, so I don't know. Okay. So it looks like it's from him here. Let's see. Ooh. Maybe from him, because it says, nice, that sounds like a good time. I haven't seen an IMAX in a while. Sounds like you're having a fun day with the folks. I'm still at the B-Day party. Kids are soaked from water balloons. Okay, so she started it and then he said it. Been pounding fruit and had a whole jar of asparagus. He didn't any barbecue this time. He did hot dogs. So I did the fruit and veggies. Okay, so he's probably just reporting his diet. Then she says, oh my God, that's absolutely ridiculous. They would freak out. I don't know who says that. No, you can't buy the. What? The scrolls, LOL, the Dead Sea Scrolls are some of the oldest, most important writings in the world. Wait, okay, so, oh, I bet you this is when the. I bet you this is when the Dead Sea Scrolls were on IMAX. That's what they're talking about. Okay. Okay, I get it. And then, okay, that's the same thing. And then something, let's see, it says, yes, or there it is. Yes, you deserve a pay increase for everything you're doing. Your plate is only getting fuller because people know what you can do. They need to compensate you now rather than later. And then it says Rocky's game didn't end until 10:20. Good thing you left early. You would have been there a while. Hope you had a great night, beautiful. Miss you. Get home safe. Sweet dreams, my sexy empanada. Oh, there it is. The sexy empanada. And then it says, no, you can't buy the sea scrolls. LOL. The dude. So that must have been her educating him because he's like, I want to buy some of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And she's like, dude, you can't buy the Dead Sea Scrolls. And let's see. Okay, and it says, I had a protein shake before I left. I thought there would be more here. I'm resisting the funnel cakes and tater twists. LOL. And then it says, I'm stopped in traffic to 112th. LOL. A lot of people here. Just pulled up to your place. You're so considerate. I hope it's 2:30. You need some rest, boo. And then it says, are we bad people? I'd love to be a part of it. Being in your life is something I crave. Conserve it while you can. I enjoyed our conversation tonight. I hope you have a great night. Sweet dreams, Nikki, NIKKI. I'm getting drenched right now. LOL. Like to see you all wet in the rain. My signal sucks so bad here, it might take a while to download your pictures. Crushed something. Look like tacos, I don't know. And it says, real me isn't going to be fun tonight, something. And then it says, I have an idea, by the way. I have a free hotel stay at the Holiday Inn. Not sure if you can swing it this month, but we could road trip it into the mountains or southern Colorado for a day or two if you want. Won't cost a dime, lol. And then it says, she supports me, but her parents were in a situation like that when she was a kid, and it came up. It won't bother me. I'm not going to stop seeing you. I made my mind up. Are we bad people? That's what it says, okay. And then it says, promise I'm about loyalty, truthfulness, and being dedicated. I don't like playing games unless it's role playing. Wow. If you want me there, I will be there. Ice cream, cookies, and lollipops. Sounds like a cheat night, lol. I'm still going to see you. It won't be as often as we like, but I'll make it happen. You think you're the only one addicted right now? I'm so... Looks like it says hooked on you. Sleeping without your warm body next to me isn't going to be fun tonight. Okay, and there we go. And now it says Nicole's phone was taken as evidence and booked into evidence at the CBI Lakewood. The evidence sheet is attached. Nicole continues to recall information from her relationship with Christopher Watts. On August 23rd, 2018, we discussed that information in a recorded interview room at the CBI Lakewood office. The recording is attached to this report. Nicole was introduced to CBI agents Tammy Lee and Stacey Galbraith prior to the interview. During the interview, CBI agent Matt Saylor assisted with data collection from Nicole's phone. During our interview with the CBI, Nicole provided the following information. The password to her iPhone is... redacted. Dang it, I would have said it. During our interview at the CBI, Nicole provided the following information. Oh, there we go. She reported talking with her close friends about damage control, relating her name getting out into the media. She asked them to remove photos of her on Facebook and other social media. She denied having any conversations with anyone about Chris Watts, with the exception of her father and Charlotte Nelson. She admits to sending a photo of Chris Watts to Charlotte Nelson during a text conversation on August 7th, 2018. During that same conversation, comments were made by Nicole that Chris has children. Nicole has not made the connection that Chris is the person involved in this case. During this text conversation, Nicole says she can tell Watts has a lot to take care of. She says she is referring to him being a father, owning a home, and having children. She also says she can tell Watts is all about his kids. And Nicole said at this time in their relationship, she was very positive about Watts and was enjoying their relationship. I questioned Nicole about mentioning the children and not liking that Watts has children. Nicole said she was not sure he was the one she was going to spend her life with, and she did not like that he already had children, as Watts has already done everything in reference to marriage and children. She talked about having her own life with a man who's not been married and does not have kids. Nicole said this conversation was exclusive to her and Charlotte, and she never talked with Watts or anyone else about this information. And at this moment in time, Tabitha Jane would like to thank all of the people who didn't have to be fathers and mothers that stepped up and have done it beautifully and are admirable in every sense of the word. Thank you to those who didn't have to be the moms and the dads that they are for whatever circumstance it comes from. Whether you're step, adoptive, kind of off the charts, letting a kid live with you, or doing God's work. There are good step fathers and mothers out there. There really are. Charlotte's father died on August 22nd, 2018, and Charlotte and Nicole had another conversation regarding Chris Watts. Nicole asked Charlotte not to speak with the media. She said they did not specifically discuss Watts or this case. Charlotte's phone number is, and it's redacted. When Chris returned from North Carolina in 2018, he and Nicole spoke by phone. Chris told Nicole that Shanann was preparing to finalize their divorce, and Shanann had called a realtor to find a new place to live. Nicole said that she helped Chris look for an apartment for himself. She recalled finding an apartment in Brighton, Colorado that fit his needs, and Chris was gung-ho about the possibilities of the new apartment. On Saturday, August 11, 2018, Chris and Nicole again discussed the apartment, and Chris did not seem interested. Nicole thought that Chris may have already known something I didn't. She said his mood had changed from their prior conversation about the apartment. Nicole further stated she and Chris discussed how he could cut costs when moving into an apartment. Nicole said Chris is an avid football fan and loves to watch the games. She said he talked about cutting costs by getting rid of cable and using an Amazon Fire Stick. She said an unknown friend was working on this for Chris. She said after this conversation, she felt like he was planning on leaving his house and moving into the apartment. Oh, that's why. So the day before, whatever happened, so on August 12th or whatever, when he met whoever, when he was in the Lexus with the girls, and he gave Chris the Fire Stick, right? Or Chris bought the Fire Stick and gave it to the friend to program it? That's right. That's about this. So that when he gets the apartment, he has a Fire Stick. Uh-huh. That's what that is. Okay. I'm going to read this. Nicole said that Nicole talked about a phone conversation she had with Chris prior to him leaving for North Carolina. During the conversation, she said she tried to convince Chris to fix his relationship with Shanann. She said she tried to convince him to fix their relationship before pursuing her. Nicole said she wanted to know Chris had done what he could to repair his relationship prior to her coming into his life. Nicole said she felt it was fast that Shanann called a realtor when she came home from North Carolina, as Chris reported she had done. She said Chris had initially dragged his feet about selling the house, and it surprised her when they came home from North Carolina. She was immediately ready to sell the home. Nicole again discussed looking for apartments with Watts and recalled during their date on August 11th, 2018, Watts was reluctant to go look at apartments. Nicole said Watts had previously planned to look at apartments with her during the week of August 13th, 2018, and now he did not seem interested in doing so. Watts told Nicole he had found a few apartments, but none made him excited. She recalled one of the apartments Watts told her was about $1,200 a month and was 2 bedrooms, and she asked Chris the name. She believes that she would have seen it in her research, and he did not know the name of the apartments. Nicole recalled that Watts was unplugged during their Saturday, August 11, 2018 date. Nicole recalls two friends of Watts, Nick and Mark. She does not know their last names. Nicole and I discussed her employment, and she stated that she was fired on August 22, 2018 from Tasman Geosciences. She reported she was a contract employee with Anadarko Petroleum through Tasman, and Anadarko had canceled her contract, so Tasman in turn fired her. Oh, that's not a very good idea of them now, is it? Because she's gonna... Oh. Oh, no. I will bet that her father and her received due compensation for these actions from the aforementioned companies, and I bet that Ms. Kessinger will not ever have to work again a day in her life. It was a bad move. She did nothing to warrant being fired. I mean, they would have been wise to have called her in and said under the circumstances they wanted to end her contract and given her a nice severance package. But what they did here was not wise. Then again, I'm only a law school dropout, so what do I know? I'll continue to read. Nicole provided me with a thumb drive which contained her cell phone call logs from July 14th to August 13th, 2018. She received the call log from her phone provider, Verizon, and provided me with a copy. See attached log for further. During the meeting with Nicole, CBI victim advocate Hazel Heckers spoke with Nicole for a short period of time. After this conversation, Nicole inquired with me about how to change her name. Oh, so she was thinking about that back in 2018. All the rumors out there that she just changed it like last month and changed it to Miller. I kind of doubt that she kept her first name and it was like Nicole Miller. And so everybody's like trying to say, is this her? I'm like, why would she do that? Why wouldn't she go like for the whole thing and be like, I don't know, Jezebel James, something like that? I don't know. Delilah. Delilah. What would be good with Delilah? Delilah Rose. Something. I don't know. I don't know why I thought of Jezebel or Delilah. Just a couple of names that come to mind. Hazel Heckers. I gave her cursory information on how to do so. Nicole apologized for deleting the text messages and phone log between she and Watts. She admits about being very worried about the information being lost. I spoke with Nicole about her deleting the messages and told her there are no criminal charges against her. I again spoke with Nicole about the text messages conversation she had with Charlotte Nelson. I specifically asked what she meant by his children making her uncomfortable. Nicole said she wants her own family. She said she never said anything to him about his wife or children being a problem. She never said to him his kids were an issue. She said she was thinking about building her own life and that he already had a life. She said she never said anything about kids damaging their relationship. She said there was never a conversation with Watts that he may have thought she was making reference to Shanann or his children being a problem. Nicole said she was 100% committed to Watts at this time, but was not sure if he was the man she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. Nicole said she cared about Watts and his children and always found the children cute. Nicole said Chris never mentioned getting rid of the kids and always discussed the moving in with him when he got a new apartment. Nicole said this whole case has shocked her and that he lied so much. He lied to everybody and he had everybody fooled. Nicole went on to state that she really believed that Shanann had left and believed that Shanann was just upset. She said when she goes back through everything, she did not see any red flags, and she said she had no idea he was going to kill his family. She recalled thinking how long it would take for his brain to shift to get him to do this. She said he could have done this if she was in his life or not, and thought it could have been her or a coworker who could have been killed too. She said a lot of people will blame her and call her the catalyst. She said it does not compute. Then stated, how can he just say, hey, my family just disappeared, and I'm not going to question that. She said Watts was so into his girls, and she supported him being with his girls. Nicole said it made her happy when he was with his children. She said, I legitimately think his cheese was sliding off his cracker before he met me. Okay, so that's where I've seen that before. His cheese was sliding off of his cracker before he met me. Oh, all right. I inquired if Nicole had watched the relationship video posted on the media outlets. She said she had not, and said she does not like looking at Watts. Nicole provided no further information during this interview. Nothing further, and the investigation continues. And that's where I'm going to stop this. And it is Discovery page 697. So we went from 652 to 697, made some good progress there. And then we are at 618 when we started at 578. So getting the 8s in here again. All of the 8s, all the 6s, you know how it goes. So, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a part of the solution, not part of the problem, in always trying to find the truth and the facts here. And I am wishing you all a happy and healthy 2023. And once again, here I go. Please subscribe and like. We are 831 truth warriors now. 831 of us working together to find the truth and the facts, and to work with the truth and the facts as we go forward, so that we may, be able to make a difference and save children like Bella and Cece, who are caught up in situations from adults that were not behaving correctly at all. So in Bella and Cece Watts' name, we are seeking the truth, and I hope we can do that in 2023. Thank you again for listening. Thanks.